Um, Actually, it was a God thing. I had already lived on the wing when BFA was coming, and at first I was like, "Oh, I'm not going to do that." But they started moving people in my room, and they were like, "Oh, you should really do it." And so I decided to go ahead and fill out the application. I was already saved, but I was kind of in a rut, and I didn't really know how to get any closer to God than what I was. And so I thought, well, maybe this program can help me learn how to have a more intimate relationship with God than what I had, because I was only getting so far reading devotionals and praying, and I felt like I knew about God, but I didn't know him or have a personal relationship with him. So I felt like when people kept shoving applications at me, like I felt like it was confirmation, like God was like, yes, you really need to do this. And so eventually I filled it out, and then I got to do the program. You know, when I first got to prison, I didn't really feel like I had any hope, because I have 2 life sentences and 75 years, which I will have a possibility of parole after about 25 and a half years. But I felt like I didn't really have any hope, you know, and I was pretty depressed, and I started just meeting people who were saved and who had relationships with Jesus, and I thought, I really want what they have. Like, how do I get that? And they seemed just so hopeful about the future. Even people who had life without and were never going to be able to see, you know, the outside again. And, you know, people just, they find their hope in Jesus. And I was like, I really want that, you know. So I started just going to church and learning all I could, and, you know, reading the Word and pressing in and finding out about, you know, what kind of hope is it that people are finding in Jesus, you know? And they kept like saying, you know, Jeremiah 29:11, like, I know the plans that I have for you, plans for a hope and a future, and like good things, like God has good things for me. And I was like, you know, maybe I went through all the struggles that I've went through in life, you know, to prepare me for what he has for my future. And if I can use anything that I've learned from my past to help other people, then that just gives me a hope that, like, it wasn't all for nothing. Like, it's going to do something great, you know? And so, like, I'm super excited about that. And, you know, God already has been using me in so many ways. And, like, it doesn't take long when you start, like, putting your hope in God, that he just starts showing up and showing out and showing you all these amazing things that he has for you. And I'm just like, yes, this is awesome. I think that people have some preconceived notions about prison and people who are in prison in general. And I just like to say that, like, we are all humans, and we were broken, and we didn't know how to deal with our traumas that we experienced, and we dealt with them in the wrong ways, and we made the wrong choices. And, you know, at any point in time we could have chosen to make the right choice, but we didn't, you know? And sometimes things just spiral out of control when you make bad choice after bad choice after bad choice, and you don't know where to turn for help always, you know? So although we're in prison and we made mistakes, and some of us like horrible mistakes, like myself, you know, but there isn't an excuse for making the wrong choices that we made. But sometimes we need to find a place like prison, you know what I mean, to find the help that we need. Like, I found my help through Jesus and through the BFA program and through some other programs that I'm involved in, like the OOA, Offenders Offering Alternatives, where I get to help people not make the same mistakes that I've made. And I'm very passionate about helping people not make the same mistakes that I made, you know. But I am a human being, and I do have a heart for people. And just because I'm in prison doesn't make me a bad person. You know, it just means that I made a lot of mistakes, and I made bad choices, and I have to pay the consequences for those. And, you know, being away from our families is really hard. But, you know, God gets us through those struggles, you know, and it's not an easy life being in prison. It's difficult, it's lonely, but finding our hope in God and knowing that we're never alone because He never leaves us or forsakes us, and that He's just going to use all our hurt, and our pain and channel it into something good, and having the healing from our traumas, I think makes such a big difference, because I think even people on the streets are broken, and sometimes you just struggle through life and you manage to not get in trouble and end up in prison, but you're still struggling and you're still broken and you need that hope, and it can only be found in Jesus. So whether you're on the street or you're in prison, that's pretty much the only way to get the healing that you need. I have seen so much transformation in my life since Beauty for Ashes. I've developed such a close relationship with Jesus. I talk to Him all day long, and I stay in my Word, and I stay, reading my Bible. That's really important. And, I fight my negative thoughts, and I take them captive and I replace them with the Word. So it's really important that you have that Word in you, which I've learned through Beauty for Ashes. And just the Oaks of Righteousness classes and the ministry process, I was able to really confront a lot of things that I had kept hidden. And I realized that Satan wants you to keep those things hidden so you don't heal from them. And the more you share things with people, the less power it has over you to control you and to make you feel like you're less than. And all the things that you feel like nobody's ever been through but you, you find that there's so many other people who've been through the same things that you have, maybe not in the same way, but you feel like you relate to people so much more. And I feel like Beauty for Ashes has done that for me. And it's helped me to be more confident, to be able to get in front of people and do speeches. I got to do a speech for Residents Encounter Christ Weekend, where I got to stand up and give a whole speech about goals to people, and I never would have been able to stand in front of people and talk before, but through the power of the Holy Spirit and through the confidence that I've gained in myself through Beauty for Ashes, I've been able to do a lot of things and step out and just be able to give my testimony to people and to help others who don't really have, anyone to talk to, and to be able to pray in front of people, which I never did before. I always just prayed in my head, but really a lot of it's just the healing from traumas that I suffered, through my whole life, and just always feeling unwanted and unloved and unlovable. And I know now that I'm not, it's just BFA's really transformed my whole life, the way that I feel about myself, the way that I feel about other people, the things that I want to do in my life, and just my plans in general going forward. They're completely different than what they were a year and a half ago before I found Beauty for Ashes. And I've just seen the transformation in other people's lives too. I want to say that, watching the girls behind me, when they come in and then they go through the ministry process, and just seeing them change over the year that they're in the program is one of the most beautiful things that I've ever seen in my life. And I know that God has done that for me, and I've seen Him do it for other people, and He will do it for everyone. It's, I don't know, just life altering. I'm Crystal, and this is my story.